So in this video, I want to talk about some settings that also can be set in Civil 3D that will make data flow to Business Center and make it easier to work with. And it mainly, in this case, specifically applies to the corridors. So a corridor in Civil 3D is made up of what is known as an assembly, which is a combination of what are called subassemblies. These subassemblies are coded and defined with certain parameters. So if we take a look here at this particular lane subassembly, you can see that each part of that lane has certain what are called point codes and link codes, as well as the entire the entire shape is a shape code. So if we take a look up here, you can see that P1 is the crown of the road and its crown point on finished grade. P2 is the edge of travelway. So if I kind of come down here so you can see this, P2 is the edge of travelway, so that's this point over here. The link between them is coded with not only top but pave, so as the finished grade surface. The link 5 is the subbase or datum, and then the ones in between are also coded with certain information. So this information and this data in Civil 3D, when you're creating a corridor, is, you can see these sections that come through here. These feature lines that show, basically connect the points, and is what's used for display purposes and or design purposes. If I take a look at this in a 3D view here, you can see that those lines are 3D and they show up and define the corridor, the surface, and the roadway. Okay, now they're defined under settings under this general multi-purpose style. There's these code sets. All right, so if I pick this alignment or this corridor and we look at the corridor properties, you can see here there's a tab called codes, and there's a style that can be defined, which is all codes, no codes. So if I say codes, no display, and apply that, you'll see that it doesn't show any information. So it kind of controls the way things are displayed, which objects are displayed. So if we take a look at the all codes, for example, you'll see that this has links, and each link is defined with top, datum, sidewalk, okay, pave. There's all the pave 1, pave 2. So those links I just showed you a second ago. They're controlled by a style, all right? Now, these styles can be manipulated and edited. The same thing with points. You can see the points have information. So I'm going to close this dialog box and go to the code set styles. And if we take a look at this one called all codes, and we edit that, for example, I can come into the links, and here you can see that I have codes for every link that is either in my project or in my drawing with the subassembly. So for example, the curb here is curb and top, and if you look at the style, you can see it's using the style curb and top, and if I go into that style, you can see that I defined it to go to this layer called TBC C road curb top. Okay, and it depends on whether you're in section. You can see in section view it's going to go to C road corridor. So we really want it to go to this one and set it to C road curb top so that they show up on a unique layer, and you can control the color as well. Okay. We don't have to worry about model because it's only plan and section that really provide us the information that we're looking for. So the reason I point this out is that most projects, let me close this, I'll close this, and let's look at, by default, if I look at this view edit setting here under link, you'll see that the datum is set to datum, and that one I've modified. So this one's, I've changed the these styles that are set to these links. Let me see if basic shows up. Let's see, edit, link. Yeah, so see how there's some basic settings. Now, notice the style over here is all set to basic. So, if we look at the basic one, what happens is it's just C road link. So, C road link for the pave as well as the top. This one I modified top, I modified that style. But if you look here, sidewalk, sod, basic, or subbase, they're all using this basic style, which means they're all going to go to this layer C road link. So when they show up in civil or in business center, they're all on the same layer, so we don't have a way to separate them easily. So by having a code set, basically here, where each link is on a unique layer. So, top goes to top, subbase goes to subbase, stripping goes to stripping, retaining wall, sidewalk, they all go to a unique layer called sidewalk, right? It doesn't have to be TBC. I just named it that way just to differentiate it from others. But by setting this up and making sure that all the codes have a style and they go to a proper layer. So all the top links, so every subassembly, if you take a look, if I go over here, every subassembly, this one, this daylight one, this curb and gutter, this one here, all these subassemblies, every link that is top is coded with top, as well as, in this case, maybe concrete or curb and gutter. This one is top and pave. This one is sidewalk, and in this case here, it's maybe sod. This is sidewalk and concrete, but it's top. But they all have a top code on that top link. So what'll happen is when I bring that into Business Center, I'll get a top section all the way through the corridor section. So it's important, or it's useful and would be nice to have, I guess, and ideal is that when this drawing is saved, that there's a code set that is applied to the corridors, so that when it shows up in Business Center, I get all that information. So I'll show you in Business Center what this is going to look like. So when I bring in that drawing, and this doesn't have anything to do with the land XML in this case, so it's just the proxy graphics set to 1 and or the actual, let's go to the export one as well. So if I do proxy graphics or export, either one of those, as long as they're both set to 1, you're going to see what I'm going to get here. Is that when I look at this corridor now, especially in this case, the exporting, I get the 3D lines, is that I get each one of these is on a different layer. So here I have the top. Okay, so there's the top of that one. And I have a top here. But I also have the, so I got the road curb, but I also have the top link. So there's 2 lines there. One's the top links. So if I was to come in and select similar, you can see that now I've picked up all the top links for the corridor. And if I wanted to, I could come down here and pick, in this case, the subbase. And if I select similar, I'll get all the subbase. Okay. Over here, these are all my curb lines. So I've got my subbase curb line. I've got my top back of curb. So this one, if I look at the properties, it's on a unique layer. It's C road, top back of curb. This one here is my sidewalk. This one here, sidewalk back. Down here, I've got my ditch in, my ditch out, and ditch in over here as well. So I must be just use the same layer. So by doing that, I can name these objects and then use these in the corridor or other operation, but mainly in the corridor function for doing takeoff, building a surface. But I've got data that's now already separated. It's going to save me time. I have to go through and manipulate it, and it's a whole lot easier to work with. So if there's CAD managers out there, DOT, localizations, whatever, a lot of times these guys and gals, they don't manipulate or don't change the code style sets. Basically, they just leave it all on one layer because there's no advantage for them to do that. But if they did it that way, then the data transfer from design to construction would be a whole lot easier, a whole lot smoother. So that's this concept of these code sets.